How would you view your parenting style? Are you a strict, no-nonsense kind of parent that doesn't tolerate any form of misbehaving from their children?
Or maybe you're just that parent that lets their kids do whatever they want
With little to no parental guidance involved. Now, these two examples are obviously on opposite sides of the spectrum, but is one extreme more acceptable than the other? Now, I'm definitely not here to persuade anyone that their method of parenting is right or wrong. But in this video, I'm going to take a broader approach on the topic of parenting. One that's aimed at how to adapt to the present day world that kids are growing up in today. Because no matter what your views on raising children are, we can all agree that the world our kids are growing up in now is not the same world that we grew up in. What category does your style of parenting fall in? Are you a stickler for following a conventional parenting style? Is there even such a thing as conventional parenting? Or like myself, do you prefer a non-conventional method, focusing more on molding your kids into the best version of themselves that you hope that they will one day become, not necessarily ruling over them with an iron fist of obedience? It's likely that you've already decided how to raise your kids, and it's unlikely that my opinions on the subject will sway you one way or the other. But shouldn't we all be open to learning and adapting when it comes to raising children? Most people have heard the expression, "it takes a village," when referring to raising a child. So why is it most people are so closed off to suggestions of how to better do so? Here are 15 steps to consider when dealing with parenting. And be sure to check out all 15, since this will be a two-part series, and most of the steps are important, especially in today's world. Plus, there's going to be a bonus tip at the end of each video, and I have a feeling you're not going to want to miss out on those. Step 1. Just do your best. Now, hearing this, you might be inclined to think that that goes without saying, and my reply is a simple one. Congratulations, you're most likely already a decent parent. The fact is that parenting is not a science, no matter how hard some people try to make it be that way. Everyone is different. Kids are different, parents are different, circumstances are different. There may be times when you can apply certain methods or use certain advice in raising your kids, but the truth remains that there's no formula to follow. If you want to be a decent parent and you're giving it your best, I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that you already care enough to want to be a decent parent. And guess what? That in itself goes a long way towards being just that, a decent parent. Step 2. Health and nutrition. Now, this is another one of those subpoints that could and should have a video all on its own. Nutrition is important for all age groups and especially important for growing children. People tend not to think about it as much, but kids are not just growing in size, but their hormones, biological chemicals, and brain activities are all changing as they grow. This is especially true for infants, toddlers, and preteens going through the different stages of puberty. Each of these stages requires different nutritional needs and should be researched to understand how and when to apply different methods to ensure that your kid is getting proper nutrition for their age group. That being said, I would like to emphasize that fast food chains and frozen finger food dinners are not going to suffice as adequate sources of nutrition for your child in any of their growing stages. There's a food pyramid that most of us haven't thought about since we learned about it ourselves in grade school. This is an excellent place to start if you want to give your kid a basic but reliable source of nutrition containing the different food groups listed in the food pyramid. Now, food nutrition is a key element to support a healthy life for your growing child, but it's definitely not the only type of health that you need to consider when raising a little person. Mental health and emotional health is also an important factor to think about when making sure your child is living a healthy lifestyle. There's so much I could say on the subject, and to try to summarize it will leave much to be said. So I've kind of decided that this topic needs a video all to itself. Until that video is posted, I will say that mental health is a serious issue for all of the population in today's world, but that it's especially significant for today's youth. There are things that most of us didn't have to deal with when growing up, such as screen time awareness, just to name one example. Luckily, we do have the ability to use the internet for the purpose of research and learn much faster about what is considered healthy and unhealthy for mental well-being, not only for our kids, but for ourselves as well. The last thing I would like to mention on the topic of health and nutrition is physical health. Exercise is extremely important when considering how to ensure that you're raising a child to live a healthy lifestyle. I'm not saying you need to drag your 4-year-old into the gym or teach them yoga, but getting them active in any way that gets them moving is much preferable to sitting in front of the television or staring at any device screen for hours on end. This can be as simple as taking a walk every night or assigning them a daily chore that gets them up and moving around, and then as they get older, increase their chores to include more strenuous activities, like mowing the lawn or raking the yard. I also feel that kids should be taught the importance of exercise, but not to a degree that they grow to hate it and vow never to do it again as soon as they leave your care. Make exercise fun through sports-like activities. To get your kids more involved, think of ways to get them active that are tailored to their preferences at first, without forcing it upon them, and then go from there. Step 3. Communication. Now this one should be a no-brainer. If you want to know someone better, then you talk to them, right? Well, that depends. Are you talking to your kids to see how they're feeling, what they're going through, and how they feel about the world around them? Or are you talking to your kids like an adult that clearly knows more about what they're experiencing than they could even comprehend? Why is it that we all experience the condescending tones of our elders but still can't see when we're doing the same thing to the youth around us? It's okay just to talk to your kids on their own level. This will usually be done best when you take the approach of a listener and refrain from trying to put things into perspective for your child. Obviously, this isn't always going to be the case. There are definitely going to be times when it's best to just be a parent, but there also must be times when you can just check in with your kids and see how they're doing. This may be easier said than done, but with enough practice and persistence, you'll be able to distinguish when your kid just needs an ear or when they need parental guidance. There are a few different times that I can remember when I was talking to my daughter and wanting to react like a father to something that she said, but I've learned to take the little things and let them go in order to build a better communicational relationship with her. Besides, you can always address something later under different pretenses if absolutely necessary. But the trust you will build with your kids, letting them know that they can come to you if and when they need to talk about anything, is much more valuable. Step 4. Being involved. Now, being involved in a kid's life doesn't necessarily have to mean ruling over them with an iron fist all the time, although there are certainly going to be times when that's what's called for. Being involved can range from making sure that they're not hanging out with the wrong crowd, to just asking them how their day went and actually being interested in how they respond. Now, I try not to be pushy here, but I'm dealing with a teenage girl who prides herself on her individualism, so it's like walking a tightrope sometimes. However, if you're asking a 5-year-old how their day went, you're bound to get an earful. As I've said in the beginning, there's no exact science here. You may need to think about your strategy and be capable of adjusting your technique as they grow. Step 5. Be approachable. This can almost fall in the communication category, but I wanted to keep them separate for a specific reason. It would be wise to teach your kid the value of being able to come to you no matter what. This will undoubtedly be more complicated than just telling them that you're always going to be there for them. I know that some will disagree with me on this, but I see the value in letting your kid get away with something small every now and again, and using that opportunity to show them that you're there for them no matter what. I will spare you the actual catchphrase I've used on occasion to drive home this point, as I'm sure it will cause me some backlash. We've all been young and made mistakes before, so I'm sure you can remember a time when you thought it was crucial to keep a secret from your parents so they wouldn't overreact. I'm simply saying that there's going to be opportunities when you're able to be there for your child instead of being an overbearing parent that can't let their kids make mistakes. Let your child learn from their mistakes while also learning that they can come to you with those mistakes for guidance. Step 6. Let them find themselves. It simply amazes me that there are parents out there that decide what kind of life their child is going to live out, right down to their career, their education choices, or worse. Don't get me wrong, I think it's good to have hopes and aspirations for your kid's life, but to force anything upon anyone is never a good idea. And this definitely includes our kids. As in everything in life, there are exceptions to this. But I do want to say that this is one of those areas that is probably better to be a guide and not a dictator. Step 7. Be supportive. Along with being a guide for your child, I feel it's crucial to be supportive in allowing them to discover who they are, as long as they're not discovering that they have maniacal tendencies. Seriously, if you think you can control the outcome of your child's hopes, dreams, and desires to a degree that will reward you with a positive relationship with them in the future, you're deluded, and you're setting yourself up for failure. Do yourself, and more importantly, do your children a favor and keep an open mind in all aspects of raising your child into an adult. Step 8. Give them space. Sometimes it's just best to allow your kids the space they need in some situations. Forcing anyone into a situation, especially where emotions are running high, can turn out bad and cause resentment. Now this works both ways, as I've found it better to think about how I want to approach some situations with my daughter instead of reacting like I think a parent should. A little time and space can go a long way. This also goes for personal space. Sometimes people just need to reflect upon life, and children are no different. Alright. This is that part where I stop the music, because I'm supposed to be all convincing like and ask you guys to smash that comment, leave a like, and subscribe to my channel or something, so I can improve my YouTube stats. But as you can see from my underwhelming amount of subscribers that I currently have, my ingenious plan to use reverse psychology to trick the masses to do the exact opposite is working quite smoothly. Seriously though, I'm just a humble single father trying to do something. Look, I'm keenly aware that my content and delivery of said content needs some work, but hey, I am improving. So if you would be so kind to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and turn on notifications, you would quite literally be making my day and helping me to push myself to improve. Also, leave a comment below with any thoughts that you may have, and I'll be sure to get back to you. Now, where were we? The bonus for this video is Family Link. Family Link is a Google app that is really handy if your kids have cell phones. And there are multiple reasons why I recommend using this app. Reason number one, and most importantly, the tracker. It allows you to know where your kids are within a couple of feet. So not only will you know what area they are in, but you can also know whose house they are at and even what section of that house they are in. And of course, it's also useful if the phone is ever lost or stolen. Reason number two, the alert function. This will give you the capability of sounding an alarm-like notification on your kid's phone, even if it is in vibrate or silent mode. This has been useful on a couple occasions where I needed to get my daughter's attention because she wasn't answering my calls or texts as her phone was on vibrate. It's also been useful the few times she has misplaced her phone and we were able to use this as a locator function. Reason number three, the app manager. With the app manager, you can monitor what apps are downloaded with the ability to approve and deny apps that you find inappropriate for your child. You'll also be able to monitor what apps your child is using and how much time they spend on them, as well as set limits for individual apps. Reason number four, screen time manager. This gives you the ability to set limits to how much time your kids spend staring at their phone on a daily basis. It'll also allow you to adjust daily screen time. Now once they've reached their limit, they will still be able to make and receive calls, but that's it. Reason number five, permissions. This will allow you to filter, permit, or restrict content on different platforms, such as web pages, YouTube, Google Play, Google Chrome, Google Search, as well as third-party apps. Reason number six, bedtime mode. This will allow you to set a bedtime mode in which your kid's phone will have limited functioning during this time, allowing them only to make or receive calls. Reason number seven, status and battery percentage. This will show the name of your kid's device, as well as the status of their phone, including when they were last online and what percentage of battery their phone has remaining. And reason number eight, the lock and unlock function. This will allow you to lock the phone completely, while again still allowing them to make or receive calls. You'll find this useful if the phone is ever lost or stolen, and for me it's been really handy as a warning to a sassy teenage girl with an attitude problem. It's amazing how fast she can lose her attitude when I remind her that I can and will lock her phone. Now I definitely recommend this app if you have kids with cell phones, as it can make monitoring how and when your kids use their phone much easier. And most importantly, allows you to keep track of where your kids are at any given time. I'm going to go ahead and post a link to this app in the description below, so feel free to check it out and feel free to thank me later.